You're listening to Tech Nest,
the Proptech podcast.
In each episode, you'll hear from Proptech founders, investors, and industry veterans on how they're using tech to change the way we buy, sell, and invest in real estate. Discover market opportunities, interesting data, growth tactics, and trends driving the industry forward. This isn't just another podcast about making money in real estate.
This is about how we live.
And now your host, Nate Smoyer.
All right. Special edition TechNest podcast. The Inc. 5000 episode. We're going to recap a bunch of prop tech companies that have made the Inc. 5000. I'm going to go ahead and start with the definition of prop tech and what is prop tech. And I'm just going to say it right out front. I don't know. I don't have the defined definition. I know this is the prop tech show. But if I got to be honest, I don't know, man. What is prop tech? What business isn't tech anymore? What business isn't tech enabled anymore? You know, if you're using software to run your business, does it make it a prop tech just because it's in real estate? Maybe not. Probably not. Is it just tech enabled? What does that even mean? I mean, just because you have a CRM, you have a website, you have some forms. That being said, I'm looking at the intersection of leveraging technology for the purpose of buying, selling, investing in real estate. As I like to say on this show, we're featuring and highlighting those working to transform the way we buy, sell, and invest in real estate. And so then that's what I'm going to use as my definition for prop tech. You can also say real estate tech. And the only thing I'm going to get testy on is that prop tech is spelled with a lowercase t. I don't do the camel case thing. I know some people like to do that, and it's okay. That's probably, hey, look, I'm not the originator of the term. It is what it is. Let's talk about the Inc. 5000. Inc. 5000 Inc. Magazine just released their Inc. 5000 fastest growing private companies in the U.S. Handful of things to know about this. This is all based on self-reported data. So this is data that the companies have reported themselves. It's not audited by anyone else. It's only private companies, so it's not public companies. It's based on the growth percentage over the last 3 years. And in this cohort, that means the company must have generated at least $100,000 in gross revenue for the year 2019 and a minimum of $2 million for the year of 2022. So there's that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down a list. Some of these companies I actually know really well. And quite frankly, some of them I don't know all that well. And we'll do it that. I'm going to start what do we want to do? Ascending or descending order? I was going back and forth on this. Maybe we'll do descending order. That is from those ranked further down the list and then go up. That's actually ascending order. Either way, MoxieWorks was ranked 2,824. MoxieWorks is they're a tech company. They have lots of different solutions, marketing, advertising, management, integrations. Primarily you'll find MoxieWorks, as they describe, they're optimizing business, building eye-catching websites, recruiting more agents. MoxieWorks is helping hundreds of brokerage like yours survive. They're working with the real estate agents and brokerages themselves. I don't have a number of how much they have raised in funding, but their 3-year growth trajectory was 189% is what they were able to achieve. Ranked at 2024, Rent Dynamics, most recently acquired by Entrata, and also recently featured on TechNest. You can find a link to their episode on technest.io. You can find this bonus episode, and I'll link directly to the interview I had with Mike Wolber there. I don't have a number of what they've raised. They've saw a 276% growth over the last 3 years. Rent Dynamics is a data platform, multifamily CRM, contact center, as well as they have a financial platform called Rent Plus as part of their offering for renters. Moving on to Valkyrie, ranked at 2009. Valkyrie is an appraisals solution. They have raised $12.7 million and 279% growth. I don't know a whole lot about the appraisal industry, but appraisal technology, there's kind of a few areas to make why this is an interesting industry or segment of the industry. The number of appraisers isn't exactly growing. There's actually some states, there's quite some barriers to becoming an appraiser and getting better at appraising. There's maybe not as much incentive as the demand is there. But there's other sides of the demand, like what it means for lenders and others in the industry to getting deals done. So others are motivated by it. There's still lots to think about in this side of the business, but Valkyrie not focused on the residential, focused on the commercial side. And you can see that in their name. I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to go ahead and infer Val is in valuation, and then the CRE, C-R-E, being commercial real estate. They're focused on the commercial real estate side and appraisal software. Moving on to a company called Evernest, evernest.co. They were ranked at 1,646. I have an unknown amount raised for them, and they experienced a 341% growth over the last 3 years. They describe themselves as a local partner with a national presence for those looking to build rental portfolios of single or multifamily properties. So they're working with investors across the country, and they have a handful of solutions, including HOA and association management, as they're offering. Moving on to Curbio, they were ranked at 1,467. They provide real estate agents and clients easier, hassle-free renovations solution that helps them get their listings sold faster. Curbio, also a previous guest on TechNest. They have raised $126 million, according to Crunchbase, and experienced about a 393% growth over the last 3 years. I'll include a link to their episode, a really interesting offering that they have here. Essentially, I would describe it as risk-free renovations prior to selling a home for the sellers. And then, of course, on the back end, that's how Curbio makes money, is through the renovations. Ranked at 1,375 is Roofstock. Roofstock's been a guest. They were one, I believe we had Roofstock on the very first season of TechNest. They've raised over $365 million, have seen 425% growth over the last three years. Roofstock has a myriad of products, including their marketplace. They have a fund product. They have a blockchain product. One thing that is, I think really interesting about Roofstock is, despite all the market conditions, they still were able to experience significant growth. The number of transactions are down. Investors really pulled back, especially the mom and pops, in the last 12 months, and they were still able yet to achieve some quite significant growth. Excited for Roofstock. I know that they've done a lot of things, including acquisition of Stessa. They have their own property management company, Gray Jones. And so, a lot of big things coming out of Roofstock, ranked at number 1,375. All right, now we're breaking into the top 1,000. First company here is Rent Spree. Rent Spree is a platform that helps realtors with property management needs. Think about listing and screening tenants on behalf of clients. They have raised a $27.7 million, according to Crunchbase, and experienced just under 600% at 598% growth over the last 3 years. One thing that's fascinating about Rent Spree, and you can hear this in the TechNest interview with Mike Lucarelli, is their distribution strategy through partnering with MLSs nationwide. Orchard, ranked at 984, says their mission is to make home buying stress-free, fair, and simple. Orchard is working on the finance side of buying. Have raised $472 million, according to Crunchbase. I don't know how much of that might have been like debt services, like or instruments providing loans or not, or if it was all equity. 602% was their rate of growth over the last 3 years. But if I were to summarize the services here, so Orchard helps you buy your next home before you sell. So kind of like that bridge loan service area, but just a little bit of a twist on it and bringing a little bit faster services to it. Of course, thinking about their integrated services, how they work with local agents and that sort of thing, is that gives them the tech advantage, if you will, over some of the competition. All right, coming in at 902, Snap Listings, a full funnel real estate marketing agency. And what makes them the tech side, leveraging data science and cutting edge strategies to impress, from impression to close. So from the very first time you see a property, getting it to closed. I don't have a number of how much they've raised in order to drive their growth, but they have achieved 650% growth over the last 3 years. Entering into property management area, Poplar Homes, previously known as One Rent and a two-time guest on TechNest, they're a tech-enabled property management company. They've raised $131.9 million, according to Crunchbase, and have achieved a 683% growth over the last 3 years. One interesting thing about Poplar is they're using an M&A strategy as part of their growth. Finding property management companies in markets that they want to expand into, acquiring those property management companies, applying the tech, and then ramping up the performance of those property management companies. Chuck Hadimer, the CMO, and one of the co-founders, explains this strategy in the most recent interview we had him on the show. Coming in at 777 on the Inc. 5000, Stack Source. They help simplify commercial real estate financing. And I have according to Crunchbase, that they've raised $3.3 million, but I don't think that includes any of the funding tools that they would be using for issuing loans. They've achieved a 758% growth in revenue over the last 3 years. Quite remarkable. Commercial has been an interesting segment of the market to be following. Obviously, office, not so great, but at the same time, if you're on the industrial side of things, the last few years have been quite remarkable. It's interesting to follow and see where things will be going, especially as a lot of balloon payments become due, or loan terms need to be renegotiated. And with interest rate environment dramatically changing, this could be quite a shakeup for the lending environment. Coming in at 533, we have a company called Rebuilt. And honestly, this was a new one to me. I'm not familiar with them all that well. Rebuilt has raised $17.2 million, and according to Traction, website Traction, wasn't able to find that on Crunchbase. They were the first company on this list to break over that 1,000% growth at 1,096% growth over the last 3 years. One of the things they advertise is no fees, no commissions on selling homes and working with them directly. The idea is that you sell your home and then buy investment properties, getting access to their off-market properties, whether it's a flip or a buy and hold. So they do both sides of the deal here, and you can see how that would really make sense if they're on both sides of that, kind of controlling the supply chain, if you will, of homes, either between investors or from consumer to investor. I think that this is actually probably going to continue as a segment, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and not want to guess here. I think more companies will get involved in this supply chain of, all right, we'll take your home and we're going to market it to a very specific audience, and it won't have to go on the MLS. I don't think this is going to be the mainstream, but I do think this type of transaction is going to continue. It's not anything new. I think just the ability to have a broader audience, a larger marketplace is going to continue to increase. And then when you vertically integrate services like financing and insurance, inspections, the ability to do 3D tours, detailed photographs, I think it only amplifies the ability for marketplaces like this to exist. All right, coming in at 510 is a company called PadSplit. They are the nation's largest co-living marketplace. So they work with both the owner who's looking to do co-living as the way they rent out their space, and then they find the residents who are looking for co-living to reduce their overhead monthly living expenses on rent. They've raised $35.2 million according to Crunchbase and achieved 1,152% growth over the last 3 years. I think co-living was also one of those categories that the pandemic may have put a little bit of a dent into, but given cost of living increasing across the board, including rent prices, especially in big cities, there's definitely a future for co-living. There's an audience for it. It'll be interesting to see how that segment of the market continues to increase. All right, breaking into the top 500, we'll start with a company called BossCat, previously known as Punchlist USA. They complete home improvement projects through their streamlined repair, renovation, and maintenance solutions. The maintenance side, I love the maintenance side of Proptech. There's so much more to be done here, and I think there's going to be continued growth. And so I'm not surprised to see this company be the first one on the list here of breaking the top 500. They've raised $48.7 million according to Crunchbase and achieved 1,175% growth over the last 3 years. Coming in at 487, company previously known as Move Easy called Live Easy. They make moving and living experiences easier. They've raised 13 million, according to Crunchbase, and achieved a growth rate of 1,204% over the last 3 years. Coming in at 319, and admittedly, I forgot this company on my original LinkedIn post about the Inc. 500 PropTech companies, but one of my favorites and a previously featured company on TechNest, Chunker. I love the Chunker brand. Brad, if you're listening to this, one thing that's on my bucket list is a Chunker hat. Just, it's the name, it's the look, it's the color. I'm just jealous you thought of it first. On-demand supply chain solutions. What does that mean? Short-term rentals, pop-up services, transportation. Think about, easy way to describe this is Airbnb for warehousing. Obviously, this might not be everyone's first go-to of like what the world needs, but this is a need, and there's a really clear business cases for this. Brad talks about this in the interview we had with him on the show, where we talked about warehousing in general. I don't have a number of how much they've raised, but 1,481% growth over the last 3 years. This is a newer market segment as far as how they're able to execute this seamlessly and smoothly, leveraging tech. That's really the secret sauce here. Arbitrage of space isn't anything new, but how you can do it at a larger scale, simply online and with essentially with one centralized back office, that's different. All right, breaking into the top 200, we have Transactly at 126. They provide the technology, tech-enabled services to coordinate real estate transactions across U.S. and Canada. Haven't talked much on this side of the business lately. I tend to avoid these types of services. A lot of it's all tech, but I thought it was very notable that they're so far up the list. They have raised $11.5 million, according to Crunchbase, and achieved a growth rate of 3,852%. Remarkable, to see that much. And then finally, we have our last company to round out the list, sitting at 125, a company called Lula, Rental Property Maintenance Solutions, powered by their network that they vet of contractors. They've raised $4.2 million, according to Crunchbase, and achieved a growth rate over the last 3 years of 3,871%. This is, of course, not all of the PropTechs on the list. There's more on the list. I know we could have gone much further into each one, but then this episode would have been about 3 hours long. Of course, you can check out the list. I'll put a link to the full Inc. 5000 list on technest.io. Just look for this episode in the list of episodes. If I miss a prop tech company on the list, promise you, wasn't anything personal. I was looking for the ones I knew, as well as ones that fit the description of real estate technology. Some of these companies were in the software category, not the real estate category, so it kind of makes it a little bit difficult to find all the relevant ones. I'm sure there's more. So if you want to tell me the companies I missed, you can head over to the iTunes store. Go ahead and write me a review and tell me which ones I missed. I'll probably give you a shout out in a future episode where we'll talk about all the things I've done wrong around here. Or not, but maybe. Anyway, that's it from me on the Inc. 5000. Congrats to each one of these PropTech leaders representing for all of us on the fastest growing private companies in the U.S. If you want more episodes like this, where I cover more broadly industry news or, more like company overviews, if you will, so you can get some introductions to companies that haven't been on the show or haven't been on the show for some time, let me know. You can shoot me an email, nate@realteampanda.com. And of course, as always, I don't say this much anymore because it's in the outro music. But if you want to be a guest on the show, or you know someone who should be a guest on the show and you want to recommend them, shoot me an email. Let me know. I'm always looking for someone who's doing something unique, leveraging tech to transform the way we buy, sell, and invest in real estate to have on the show, and so we can talk through the important matters. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for listening to TechNest, the Proptech podcast. Find all the links and resources mentioned in this episode on technest.io. You can get future episodes delivered to your ears directly by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all other major podcast apps. Follow TechNest on social media to stay up to speed on new developments, resources, and announcements in PropTech. Your support is greatly appreciated. There's 2 ways you can directly support this podcast. Share episodes you find interesting, and then leave a review of the show in the App Store. From Nate and the TechNest team, thanks for listening.